Today on the Commanders Report, I reveal my third 7-round Commanders mock draft of the 2025 draft season and my first since the Commanders traded for both Deebo Samuel and Laremy Tunsil earlier this offseason. Before we get into the content today, do me a favor, click that thumbs up icon if you want me to do another 7-round Commanders mock draft next week. If you guys click that thumbs up icon, if we get to 500 likes on today's show, I'll make sure to get another mock draft to you guys next week. All right, so my rule this offseason, guys, in this draft season, if you've watched our previous mocks, you guys know this is my rule this offseason, is I don't want to repeat players, okay? So all of the players on this week's mock have not been in my 2 previous mock drafts. So if there's a player you really want the Commanders to target, I might have them in my other 2 mock drafts, so you guys can check out those other 2 mocks on the channel. Up on the channel already. So I'm going to make one trade and one trade only in this mock draft this week, and that is to trade for star edge rusher Trey Hendrickson. Okay, now it's still very possible that Hendrickson ends up signing a contract extension with the Cincinnati Bengals. There's been some reporting that the team there in Cincy is trying to get a deal done with Hendrickson. But let's just say for this scenario here that they don't, and the Commanders make a big move to get their new number 1 edge rusher in Trey Hendrickson, and they trade their first-round pick in order to make it happen. I think that this is fair compensation for a guy in Trey Hendrickson who is a star edge rusher, who just led the league in sacks, and the Commanders are going to have to give him quite a bit of money if they want to trade for him. The question is how much. I think if he's asking for 40, I think that's a bit too much. But if he's asking somewhere in the range between $35 and $80 million per season, that is something that I'd be willing to do. I'd be willing to give him that contract extension worth 4 years, $37.5 million per season to make him the next star edge rusher of the Washington Commanders. And my thinking on this, guys, is that Hendrickson can be that impact addition, that veteran addition to this roster that Laremy Tunsil is going to be for the offense. I mean, Laremy Tunsil may be the best true pass-protecting left tackle in all of football when he's healthy. That is a huge addition to the offensive line. Then on the defensive line, they're still kind of lacking that true number 1 presence. And sure, you could maybe get one of those guys at the tail end of the first round, especially if guys like Mike Green or James Pierce Jr. begins to fall down the draft board. But Trey Hendrickson is better than any edge rusher you're going to be able to draft on day 1. So if it is available for trade and you can go out and get Trey and you can pay him a pretty decent market rate for his services and make him a Commander for the long haul, I am absolutely pulling the trigger on that. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Would you accept this trade? Would you trade this team's first-round pick this year and give him a massive new contract to go and get Trey Hendrickson and make him the next Commanders' number 1 edge rusher? Give me an A for accept or D for decline. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question with an accept or a decline. So with the first pick we're going to make in this mock draft here, it is in round 2, pick number 61. And I'm going to take somebody that I am absolutely in love with here. I turned on Kevin Winston Jr.'s film out of Penn State, and it reminded me a lot of Derwin James. Now, that's obviously a big name. He's one of the best run-defending safeties, one of the most physical safeties in all of football. And that's just who he reminds me of. The way that he moves, how physical he is. He might be the best open field tackler in this entire class as a safety. He's got a little bit of versatility to his game as well, but this team is in desperate need of a box safety to replace Jeremy Chin. You bring in Will Harris, but I think he's more of a rotational piece, and I think that the Commanders need to get a day 1 starter at the safety position in the NFL draft this year, and Winston fits that bill. And the reason why I think he'll be available here in round 2, despite how excellent his tape is, I think it's round 1 caliber tape, is that he's coming off a pretty major injury. And if it wasn't for that injury, I think that he would be considered kind of in the same area as like Malachi Starks, as some of the other top safeties in this class. But because of that medical issue, and I think that the medical checks at the combine that happened a couple of weeks ago are really going to be massive in terms of where he goes in the NFL draft this year. If the medicals check out, I think he's a round 2 player, and I would love for him to land here in Washington to be the day 1 starting strong safety for the Washington Commanders defense. So coming up here on the Commanders Report Mock Draft 3.0, my day 3 picks. So round 4, round 5, round 6, and round 7 are all coming at you guys here momentarily. But first, the Commanders have already sent one of their day 3 draft picks this year for the services of Deebo Samuel, the new number 2 receiver here in Washington. And you can get his brand new number 1 Washington Commanders jersey with our friends at Fanatics today. Go to chatsports.com/Deebo if you want a Deebo Samuel Commanders jersey in your closet today. Also, part of the proceeds go to us here at the Commanders Report when you use our link, chatsports.com/Deebo. I'll put the link to that in the comments and description of today's show. Thank you guys so much for all of your support, and go get those Deebo's jerseys today. Okay, now in round 4, I'm going to go corner, somebody that can develop into a potential starter down the road on the outside, and that is Nohl Williams, the cornerback out of California, Cal Berkeley. And Nohl Williams is a little bit raw, but he brings the right mentality, and he has the right physical skill set to fit in what Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. want to do defensively, specifically at the cornerback position on the outside. He is physical. He brings good strength to the table, and I do think that he's got the physical profile of somebody that can survive as a starting corner in this style of defense where Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr., they want to play a lot of press man coverage. They want to really take it to an opposing offense and really get in the face of opposing wide receivers, jamming them at the line of scrimmage, all these different things. Nohl Williams is the type of guy that brings that correct Commanders mentality, and I think that he'd be a really good fit. And because you have Marshawn Lattimore, and you've got Jack Jones, and you got, of course, Mikey Sanders, so he doesn't have to play right away. So you can develop him while Jack Jones is playing this year on that 1-year contract. And if Jack Jones, or Jonathan Jones, I should say, not Jack Jones, Jonathan Jones, is not playing up to snuff, then you can put Nohl Williams in there and see if the rookie can play. And I think long-term he can be an answer. Obviously, Jonathan Jones is not considered a long-term answer for the Commanders right now because you're only paying him $5.5 million per season to be a starting cornerback in this room. So I think that the Commanders will be looking at corner in terms of a future starter in this NFL draft. And I think Williams would fit that bill quite nicely. Then we don't have a 5th-round pick because we traded it for Deebo Samuel. So we have to fast forward to round 6 here, where I'm going to take Jackson Slater, an offensive guard out of Sacramento State. And I thought he might have been the best overall guard at the Senior Bowl this year in Mobile, Alabama. He was really, really good for a small school guy going up against some of the best interior pass rushers in the country, one-on-one, in those one-on-one drills there in Mobile. And he really held his own, man. Like, I think that this is somebody that is getting slept on a little bit because of the school that he went to, Sacramento State. But I think that he has the physical profile of somebody that can hold up at the National Football League level. With them bringing in Laramie Tunsil to be this team's left tackle, it's going to be interesting to see what the plan is at right tackle. Do they plan on putting Brandon Coleman over there? Do they plan on keeping Andrew Wiley over there? And then what's the plan at left guard? Are they going to keep Nick Allegretti? Are they going to kick Andrew Wiley in to guard, where he played his best football in his career? Are they going to put Brandon Coleman at left guard, somebody that I think could really play that position well? We still don't have those answers, but my best guess is they're going to put Coleman at right tackle, and then they could bring in Jackson Slater as somebody that can be a depth piece right away, but could potentially develop into a future starter for this Commanders offensive line. So really like that pick. Then in round 7, I'm going to take a wide receiver out of Eastern Washington, Efton Chism Jr. Of course, Cooper Kupp came out of Eastern Washington. Now, I'm not saying Chism's going to be Cooper Kupp, but I am saying that this is somebody that breaks a ton of tackles. He's a yak threat, and obviously in this offense that really requires a lot of run after the catch ability, lots of wide receiver screens on early downs. I think that Efton Chism Jr. is an excellent fit for what Cliff Kingsbury is wanting to bring to the table. Also brings some good size to the table, and I think that he's got an opportunity to be a really good player in this league, but because he's from Eastern Washington, he's being pushed down draft boards quite consistently right now, and I think it's possible the Commanders could be able to land him in round 7, which to me would be an absolute steal. So here is my mock 3.0 haul. I'm trading the 1st-round pick to go out and get Trey Hendrickson. 2nd-round pick, I'm going to get my starting strong safety in Kevin Winston Jr. as long as his medical situation checks out. I'm going to get a potential future starter at cornerback in round 4 with Nohl Williams. I'm going to get Jackson Slater, a person that I really believe in round 6 to be a potential starter in the future at guard. Then Efton Chism Jr., somebody that's a great fit for what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do here in Washington as a sleeper wide receiver in round 7. So grade my mock this week here, guys. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section to finish up today's show. And before you go, guys, make sure you click that subscribe button right now because we're going to be doing these mock drafts all throughout draft season, getting you guys ready for the NFL draft, which is just a few short weeks away. at this point. So really do appreciate all of your guys' support. You guys can also check out the other mock drafts we have on this channel. We already have 2 of them up on the channel. If you want to check those out to see some of the players that I've already broken down on this channel for the Washington Commanders. So click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, hail to the Commanders.